I don't know, how do we do that? How did we get that wicked thumbnail that quick? That's Butch got an automatic thumbnail put in. That's pretty good. Dun, 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 dun. 11 o'clock. Yay. 11 o'clock, lunch with Ian. Get under spotlight. 2 people. Hello. Hello. Good morning. I think perhaps we ought to have that there for the microphone. I think that's where the microphone is. Who's that? Hello, Judith. Good morning, Judith. Nice to see you. Morning, Chris. Nice to see you. Nice. So I was going to have a different title for this morning's show. I was going to have a different conversation piece. Because the conversation piece that I really want to have is the conversation piece about the homeless and the amnesty for the illegals that are worldwide. I think it's so important. I think it's such a big question that's not being talked about right now. Busy cooking but listening. Oh, what are you cooking? Hello, old man. Hello, Vic. I wonder, is that my cousin, Vicky? Oh, I'm from India. Hello. All right, okay. I thought for a second you was my cousin. Nice to see you. Glad you popped in. So glad you could make it. So unusually, sometimes we get a lot more people come in automatically straight away at 11 o'clock. There's like 20 people. But today, not many. Steak and onion pie, braising steak and onions, filling. Oh, filling the freezer. Nice. Nice. Steak and onion. Steak and onion pie. Oh, nice. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Look at that, 10 people. Hello, Matt C. Nice to see you. Adam as well. Hello, nice to see you too, Adam. Who else we got? Oh, Katie. Hello, Katie. Nice to see you too, darling. Lorna. Hello, Lorna. Lunch round Judith, eh? Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Hello, Andy. Steve McManus. Hello, Steve. Are you feeling well, Ian? Well, I am, and I'm sort of not. Well, we are, just to answer Vicky's question quickly, Vicky says, why is this live stream on? So, we're a coin shop. We deal in coins, and we've had live streams running for a year or so, and but we not so much selling coins at the moment because of what's happening around the world with the coronavirus. So we're just carrying on with the shows. There's normally 2 of us. There's me and Butch from America, but Butch has been having some issues with his internet of late, and the reason he wasn't on the other day was because there was people that, with the virus being what it is, people are going to their other homes, and where he lives there was people that turned up to their second homes, moved in, lit a fire, didn't clear out the chimney, 2 houses burnt down in 3 days. Hello, Kian. Nice to see you. Marco. Hello, Marco. Well, it came from over that way, Vicky. Yeah, who knows, you know, who created it and what reason and all the rest of it. But, yeah, that's where it seems to have come from. Hello, Nanny. Nice to see you. Morning. So here we are, all the regular bandits coming in. All the regular bandits popping in and saying hello, which is lovely. Nice to see everybody. I hope you managed to have a bit of a de-stress, Katie. Nice to see that you're in. So, I've got a couple of things to talk about today, and one of them, well, actually, the main thing I wanted to talk about was the amnesty for illegal immigrants. Because with all the reported deaths, recovered, people that have got it, figures and all the rest of it, nobody's taken into account or factoring in the homeless or the illegal transient population, of which there are several million around the world. Pardon me. So it is a very, very, very important subject to me, because it means that you've got an awful lot of people out there that will catch the virus and they won't go for any help anywhere. They'll just hope that they get better, and if they don't get better, then bodies are going to start appearing and people are going to start dumping bodies. So what we need, every country in the world needs to go, right, whoever's on our soil right now, while it's all shut down, we give them all an amnesty, register, and you're a citizen of this country as of now, and at least get everybody registered, you know, from there move on. But that is a bit overshadowed today by recent events. So, where do I start? Right, so always start at the beginning and just tell it like it is. That's how it is with me, you know that by now. So, when all this kicked off, I could see us going bust. Boom, that's it. Then all of a sudden they say, oh, we're going to help people with 80% of their wages. Suddenly I saw a flash, a glimmer of hope. Suddenly I thought, oh, and that's where I get that thing where I see things all in a quick whatever, just in a flash. I can just see it. And I saw what I saw in one flash. I saw, right, we just lost Kelly. We are just about to lose Logan, probably. And, you know, at any point we are fighting to stay afloat or not go under. Right, and this has been going on for quite some time. And in a flash, I thought, well, okay, so this might be a way of being able to get their wages paid. So I thought, right, if we could get them on that, but I can't keep their job open, because if I go under, there is no job. But if we can get them on this thing, then perhaps what we could do is they get 80% of their salary paid. I top up with 20, however I do that. Don't know how, because of not having an income. But with the four of us doing some kind of work somewhere along the line, and I thought Kelly could probably do social media stuff. I didn't really know what, you know, but I thought, well, she could do social media stuff. And I thought, Logan, right, what you could do is you go home and you start, your bit could be finding all the things that we can tap into, all the claims we can make, whatever it is. You be the person that knows that, because they're going to be bringing out different stuff. They're going to be bringing out different compensation packages left, right and centre, I think. It's not going to stop with one. There'll be another one and another one and another one. So I thought, right, you keep on that, and then John can work on the bankruptcy on the one hand, and then on the other hand we sort of have two plans going on, one for the bankruptcy and one for like being able to carry on. And as my brain was working all of this out, I figured to myself, well, hold on a second. If we've got work going on, I don't know what work, but there would be work of some description in my mind at the time. So if we've got work going on, so we've got Logan doing work, and we've got Kelly doing work, we've got me doing work, and everybody else is still doing a bit of work, even whilst there's this close down, I thought to myself, well, so that means any money that comes in doesn't have to get swallowed on wages. Well, it'll have to get swallowed on the 20%, but it wouldn't be getting swallowed like it is at the moment. So, pardon me, so that got me thinking. That means that as money comes in, it's not going to be spent as fast as it was previously, because you've got this help from the government coming in. And there's obviously going to be more help somewhere along the line for businesses. So we could actually end up weird as it sounds, but I thought we could end up in a year's time actually getting in front, because there's all this help from the government, plus we're doing all our bit, working as a team, and keeping the business going. That was what I thought. So I had a chat to Logan. I said to Logan, look, you have a chat to Kelly, and I had a chat to Logan. I explained it all to Logan. Logan went home, and he started doing what I asked him to do. The first thing that he comes across, and it's a shame that I haven't got Butch here today, because I'm sure that if I emailed it to Butch, Butch would be able to put the document up on the screen, but we'd probably do that tomorrow. But anyway, so the first thing that Logan finds when he goes off and does exactly what I've asked him to do, is he finds this document where it actually says, and it states on this document, that if you're getting the 80% of your salary, you're not allowed to do any work. Can't do any work. And that sort of, that changes things straight away, because it's like, oh, okay. Now, in a way, then I got talking to John, and John said to me, you do realise that the way that you're putting it across, it almost sounds like an ultimatum, and it almost sounds like you're blackmailing them to work for the next year when they shouldn't be. And so I sort of thought about that, and I thought, oh yeah, I see how I've walked straight into that one. So, but where it leaves us is the first bit of information that Logan finds is this information that actually, I can't remember where it's from now, but actually I've got it on here. This first bit of information he finds, let me just see if I can quickly find it, because then I can read it without trying to interpret or remember it. But I've bloody lost it now. And whereas basically on the one hand I thought I'd come up with a really good way of, here we go, I thought I'd come up with a really good way of us being able to cover their wages and us stay in business as well. But I was wrong. I've made it, I'm totally wrong. Because it says here, HMRC will reimburse 80% of furloughed workers' wage costs up to a cap of $2,500 per month. So it's 80% of what they would normally get. HMRC are working urgently to set up a system for reimbursement. Existing systems are not set up to facilitate payments to employers. So that's that bit, right? I read the wrong bit out. Ah, here we are. This is the important bit. This is the game changer, right? Which is why in the title it says bust, not bust, bust, not bust, bust. What the fuck, what is going on? Even I don't know. So it says, if you're, this is really important, right? Furloughed workers. If your employer cannot cover staff costs due to COVID-19, they may be able to access the support to continue paying part of your wage to avoid redundancies. So it's not a guarantee. They may be able to. Goes on to say, if your employer intends to access the coronavirus job retention scheme, they will discuss with you becoming classified as a furloughed worker. This would mean that you are kept on your employer's payroll rather than being laid off. Now that's really important, because it means that the furloughed worker, which in our case would be Logan or Kelly or John, the furloughed worker is kept on the payroll, right? So there's a job open for them. They're on the payroll. You can't have a furloughed worker that's not on the payroll. Very important. To qualify for this scheme, you should not undertake work for them while you are furloughed. This will allow your employer to claim a grant of up to 80% of your wage for all employment costs up to a cap of $2,500 per month. You will remain employed while furloughed. Your employer could choose to fund the differences between this payment and your salary, but does not have to. So essentially the 20% the employer, me or Tesco's or whatever, doesn't have to pay the 20%. It's a voluntary thing for the business employers, it seems. Right? With an initial run of 3 months. So, trying to disseminate all of this. What does all this mean? Well, it means that I was wrong in my idea, and it means that I was wrong to ask Logan and Kelly to continue working. It seems that they're not allowed to continue working if they get the furlough. So for me to ask them to continue working is a bit like blackmail, and it's a bit like, well, it's asking them to do something that they don't need to do, if you see what I mean. So I get that. Trouble is, my idea of being able to keep them on the payroll is dependent on the business staying in business. So if we now fold, which is now seems likely, if we now fold, then there is no job open, there is no payroll. So they can't be on the payroll. So I imagine the only thing they can do is sign on the dole, if there is such a thing anymore. I don't know what the system is. But my original idea, which seemed to me in my head so sensible and clear and easy, you know, is we can only get you the 80% if we keep your job. So let's all work as a team on keeping the business going. Didn't realise it was going to be illegal. But that's actually illegal, so my idea can't work. Well, if my idea can't work, I haven't got any other ideas, so we're buggered. That's what that means. We're actually buggered. I can't see, because I can't get them. I mean, I can try, and I have no problem getting them the furloughed thingy without them doing any work. I mean, I have no problem with them having that 80%. And not doing any work at all. I mean, that doesn't, if anybody thinks that's a thingy, it's not. It doesn't make any difference. You know, you've got to stand by people, and I've always stood by Logan and Kelly to the best of my ability, so I wouldn't stop now. So if it's a simple case of me signing something and them two still getting their 80%, absolutely, bloody right, I sign it straight away, no problem at all. But I've got a feeling that if I'm now understanding this right, they're only allowed to get the furlough money if they don't work. Which, that's great, I agree with. Don't disagree with that one little bit. Totally agree with that from a mate point of view, from an employee point of view, totally agree with that. And for most businesses, or a lot of businesses, that'll probably be all right. But for me, A, I haven't got the income to pay the 20%, and B, pardon me, I can't keep them on the payroll for a business, pardon me, that's not running. Because if we have no work at all going on, then there's no way that I can do everything on my own. So then And there's no way we can pay bills, there's no way we can pay creditors, there's no way we can pay investors, there's no way we can pay anything because I have to have a business in order to be able to pay anybody, anything. Staff, you, anybody. And without a business, I can't do that. So I don't know how many will be in this category, but I'm going to be in a category of business that basically says, yes, government and staff, I totally agree that people should get this 80%, but I'm unfortunately in a position where I'll have no choice but to close. And if I close, then they've got no job. So the government won't give them any 80% because there's nothing to give them 80% of, because their job's gone. And I think, and I don't know this until I look into it and I talk to John more and we look into it further, but unless they bring new rules into the COVID-19 bill that covers insolvency and redundancy and so on, then it used to be that an employer would fill in certain forms from the Department of Trade and Industry, and the Department of Trade and Industry covers a certain amount of salary owed, holidays owed and redundancy money. It's not a fortune, but it can turn out to be $1,000 or a couple of thousand or whatever. And I know this because I've done that and filled forms in for people before and got them money that they was owed. So I have a sneaky, horrible feeling and suspicion that we're going to have to go down that road, and the only way of getting them any money will be via the Department of Trade and Industry, unless there's something that we can squeeze them onto. But I have a horrible, nasty feeling that there will be nothing I can do to get them on the 80% thing. That's the bit that bothers me, is like, I don't think I can get them on that now, because my interpretation of it was wrong. And if I'd have gone down that road and we'd have all gone and done that, then we would have been doing something that would have been illegal, and I didn't realise it would have been bang illegal. I thought at the time, you know, well, is it okay? Yeah, it sounded all right to me, but obviously not. Hello, Popcorn. John Wall, hello, mate. Morning all. Ian, can Logan and Kelly do volunteer work for you? Well, you see, if you knowingly do something to get around the system, then you're doing something fraudulent anyway. So you could get them the 80% and then they volunteer their time to you. That's a question you'll have to ask one of these bods in the House of Commons, because that's what they've been doing all week. One of them mentions something and then someone else will come in and go, oh yeah, but what about this, and what about that, and what about this? And then they start answering it. I honestly have no idea. The way I see it at the moment is that me and John have got to talk about closing. We lost Kelly anyway, and I thought I'd come up with a way of being able to get her back and get her supported for the next year. But I was obviously wrong. So the idea I come up with, that doesn't work. And the idea I come up with for Logan, that doesn't work, because that idea turns out to be illegal. So that don't work. So he can't do that. So what can they do? I don't know. As an employer, I have absolutely no idea, and for them, I have absolutely no idea, which must be horrible for them, you know. And some of this we've not even spoken about yet. I'm still waiting to talk to Logan, you know, and you see the other thing, people are getting their knickers in a twist all over the country with misinterpretation of how people are misinterpreting the rules and misunderstanding what's been going on. You know, there's all sorts of people that think that there is this automatic right to go home and put your feet up and get 80%, and it ain't. It ain't. There are there are going to be some categories of business where I suppose it will be sort of automatic blanket. All you lot, boof, off you go. You go home. Don't worry about it. We're a big, massive company. It'll all be sorted out, and it'll be sorted out in a wage office. You just go home, put your feet up, and you get 80%. And a lot of people will fall into that category. But unfortunately, I don't think Logan and Kelly will. So I don't know. It's a bit scary because I don't know what's going to happen to them now. I don't know, like I say, I don't know whether they've got to sign on or whether or not there's some kind of redundancy package they could tap into, because you know the way that Kelly was let go wasn't very nice. So it might be possible that she can claim something for not getting enough notice or whatever. I don't know. But that's something that they will have to individually look at themselves. It's not something that I can do on behalf of them. So they would have to look into that themselves. But I would certainly cooperate with anything that they come up with that will help them. But I think that that's it now. I honestly think that it's game over, because I can't, you know, and I know I've said before, oh, I think, and things change on a sixpence, which they do. Things do change on a sixpence, and you know, yesterday we had certain news, and today we've got other news, and tomorrow we'll get new news. Today they released the information about the self-employed. I think that will be around £2,917. That's the information that was sent to me by somebody, but we'll see what they say on that. But I've had that information for 3 days, so I don't know why they've not released the information yet. And that's all anybody can do right now, is just keep abreast of the information. I'm watching a lot of news. I'm watching all of it. I'm watching BBC News when I can, and then I go on to ITV, and then I go on to Channel 4, and then I have a bit of Sky News, and I'll have a little bit of Al Jazeera to try and get a feel of what's going on everywhere, because you can't rely on you know, information just coming through from one channel. I mean, they've not even started talking on the news yet that I've seen about the looting that's going on and the mugging that's going on, and you know, the places that are getting done in and smashed in and all the rest of it. Worrying times. So yeah, so that's where we are. So where does that leave Logan and Kelly then? Well, I think it leaves them. They need to find out, like I say, where they might stand with what they can claim, and then me and John will be talking, and we'll have to look at what things we can put in and claim for. And that's going to have to include things like creditors and investors and customers and points owed and coins owed and one thing and another. Because there's no way that I can keep this going with no work being done and no money coming in. You know, I mean, I've worked some miracles, but Christ on a bike, I can't fix this. So that's sort of where it's left us. I think tomorrow's video is more likely to be me going, that's it, it's game over. As hard as that is. But I've got a feeling that that'll be the case tomorrow. I mean, like I say, I should be talking to John a bit more today, and might be talking to Logan at some point today. I should think Logan will probably be very upset because he's now lumbered. He's lumbered in a place where, like, he might not get anything. And that is the opposite of what I was trying to achieve. I was trying to actually make sure that he was looked after. But so that's where we are. Um, and like I say, I think probably tomorrow that's probably what we'll be saying. So watch this space, mind you. You ain't got nothing else to do, most of you, for the moment, apart from Judith, who's making a pie. Quite sounds so tasty too. Tasty, tasty, very, very tasty. So is there anybody that's got any questions they want to fire at me? Because I've just sort of outlined really where we are. I can't see any way out of it, and I can't see anything else to explain. That's literally the position we're in. 1 minute I thought we was all going to be able to carry on, and the next obviously we can't, because to carry on would, well, yeah, to carry on in that way would be illegal, and we can't carry on in the other way because there isn't the money to pay for it. Nanny says it's all left down to employers to understand and sort out, but this is so new to everyone. Even the lawyers, accountants, etc. have got to get their heads around the new rules in order to advise people. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's so right. I mean, the information that they're giving out, you've got the likes of Logan and Kelly and Angela and Nanny trying to understand it and interpret it the best way they can, and you've got employers looking at it trying to interpret it the best way they can, and yet you've got lawyers and accountants that are struggling to get their head around some of it. And if they can't, you know, what chance has the rest of us got? So I certainly think that, yeah, so sorry to hear, says Popcorn. Yeah, I mean, there's only so far you can go with an elastic band. If you stretch it enough, it's going to break. And there's no way that we can stretch it till it over breaks. It's either going to break or it's not. It's going to stretch and won't stretch anymore. I've stretched it about as far as I can. I think I'll be safe to carry on with these coin parcels for the shares for the time being, especially and certainly if I record it and make sure that when we do get to see the official receiver, I let him know what I've done and how I've done it. So then I think I'll be covered okay, because at the end of the day, is there still the remotest glimmer of a chance that you could get out of it? And it's like, well, yeah, if we had enough publicity, there's always a chance that one of these lottery winners might come along and go, oh yeah, all right, 10 times your money to sue them in, I'll put $500,000 into it. I don't know. So, you know, as long as there's a glimmer of hope, there's a chance of fighting. Although it gets tiring and you think, oh, is it worth it? Need some motivation and all of that, you know. So yeah, I don't see it going anywhere else. I see it. That's where it looks like it's going. It looks like at this stage, with the information to hand at the moment, it's likely. But that's what I'll say tomorrow. But you see, then again, the situation is so fluid that it doesn't really matter what I say tomorrow. It doesn't matter whether I say tomorrow, oh, by the way, we've gone under. It doesn't really matter, because nothing will get done. If they've closed the court system for 3 weeks at least, and if things do stay shut for several months, then nothing will get done. It will just be a case of us closing down on that respect and not reopening, and nothing will get done until the courts and everything reopen and we submit paperwork, and then on it will go, I think. So it's a shame, and I don't really know what else to do. That's the bit I always don't like. See, that's the bit that stresses me, is when I feel like I'm being boxed into a corner and there's nothing I can do. As long as there's something I can do, as long as I feel like there's something I can do. I can be proactive. But when you're sort of put in a point where you go, yeah, there's nothing you can really do, it makes you feel a bit, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? That's breathing space for something to change, stood a chance. That's right. I mean, you know, things will start going now. So whereas we've been fighting to keep the Shopify going, Shopify will definitely go now, because I won't have the money to pay that next month and the month after. And all the other little bits and pieces. So there's all different things apps you belong to, and payment processing and one thing. All of that will all go one by one. WorldPay will go. Then we won't be able to. Then we won't be able to transact money anyway on the site. And you know, one by one, all these little bits and bobses go. You know, and you can't do anything about it, but just watch them go one by one. You know, and so calling a day and calling a halt will just be just watching all them cards fall and everything, and then having to deal with a mess and the official receiver and the courts and the legalities of it. And not being able to do anything about it. Nanny Sue says it's very stressful. Nobody can say you haven't tried, Ian. Yeah, it's one thing I'll pat myself on the back for, is that I'm a trier. People have said that ever since I was a little kid. Oh, he's a trier, and he Joan used to say to me, Mum. Oh, and he's a trier, and he. But yeah, I am. But you know, you can only keep trying whilst there's things to try. And if you ain't got anything to try, well, that's when you have to hold your hands up and go, well, okay then, you beat me. You know, the only things I've got left now are, I can't sell coins, so for now that's just stopped. That's just on pause. What happens to it all? Don't know yet. That's just all on pause. As to what happens to it all, could be a conversation that could go on for days. I have absolutely no idea at this stage. What I do know is I can't sell it because there's no way of transacting, so can't sell it. So that's the business stopped. But what I can sell is the Royal Mint TV shares and the Royal Mint News shares with payments into my bank account. I can sell them because they don't need posting. Well, you've got the paperwork, but you know, you'll happily wait for the paperwork. So I can sell those, and I can sell the 10 times a mint fund. That's about all I can sell, and something on a crowdfunding maybe, but that's about all I can sell. So that leaves our options of what we can do and what we can sell are just getting more and more and more limited. With this news about the 80% and the fact that people are not allowed to work, that just constricts us even more. That just limits our options even more. Whilst it was the way I understood it, we had more options, but now I've got that wrong and we can't do that. Options are more limited. Can't blame anybody but myself. It's my fault, my responsibility. It's not Logan's fault or Kelly's fault, anybody like that. I mean, Logan did exactly what he was asked to do. He went home and the first thing he did was start doing a bit of research. And the first thing he found was that document. You know, which in an ironic kind of way is like, you know, the first document he finds is a document that when he gives it to me, he says basically, he's saying, here you go, I found this, and this is probably the end to my job, without realising it. You know, it wasn't to know that necessarily, but when you look at the implications of what it says, you know. I essentially, so when you break it down even further, I sent him home to do a job that was to find a document, the contents of which put him out of a job. So it's a bit ironic, isn't it? What can you do? I mean, talk about unlucky. What can you do? From an employee's point of view, I mean, how must Logan feel? I've got to think like as if I'm Logan. You've just given me a job. I've gone home. I've done the job that you've told me to do. I've looked for the things that you've told me to look for. And the first thing I'll find is a document that puts me out of a job. If I hadn't have gone home doing the job that you told me to do, I wouldn't have found a document that puts me out of a job. So I'm not saying Logan said that. That's my mind. You know, I'm going like, you know, just imagine how he must be feeling right now. That's what I'd be. That's how I'd be feeling. I'd be going, cheers, Ian, thanks. Sent me home with a job to keep my job going. Telling me that job is to go and find this information and these documents, and the first document I find is a document that essentially puts me out of a job. Thanks. But we'll have to see what happens, like I say, today, tomorrow, the next day, what they're going to bring out, what they're going to change. There's going to be certain compensation packages. There's going to be people that had a thriving business and were forced to close and have lost a phenomenal amount of money. Ian, Martin Lewis doing his show on TV tonight. It might be worth watching, and you can send in questions. He may be to advise. He's just been talking about furlough workers now on this morning. Yeah. I'll catch up with a bit of news, and I like Martin Lewis. I quite, you know, like his brain. I like his mind. He's a very, very clever man. Yeah, so I've gone a bit silent now because it's like, all right, what else do I talk about? So that's where we are now. I've talked more about, that's why I said overshadowed. See, it's overshadowed what I really wanted to talk about, which is the amnesty that's needed for all the illegal immigrants. You've got to think about all these people that are, all of us know that there are people out there that live 6 to a room and 10 to a room. We know that. We've seen all the documentaries. And I know that from personal experience because I employed some Polish people and they lived in one of those houses, and I took them out of one of those houses and got them in a flat where they had a room each, and they thought it was paradise. And there's lots of that goes on. You know, you get 10, 20, 30 people in an house. It's huge. And this is going to spread through communities like that, like wildfire. And then no one's taking those numbers. No one's adding those numbers up. Same with the homeless worldwide. Nobody's adding up the numbers of the people that are getting sick or what to do about it. And what about that bloke on yesterday? On the flipping, there was Corbyn. Corbyn had heard about this radio show, was it on yesterday morning, where a guy, from the building community, a guy is on the radio show going and saying, I've got the virus, I know I've got it, and I work in construction, and I'm not staying at home, I'm getting on the tube, and I'm going to work, because my construction site won't close down, and if they don't, and if I take the day off and they don't close down, I don't get paid, so I have to go to work. So even though I've got the virus and I know I'm contagious and I know I'm spreading it everywhere I go, I'm getting on a tube and I'm going to work. So how many times do you want to multiply that throughout the country, where people know that they've got it and they know they're infecting other people, and so badly is the need for their own, them and their own family. So badly is that need to look after number one, that they'll just go and spread it to everybody else because they've still got to go out and earn money. Stevie B, I've followed him for over 10 years before he was popular or even famous. I've saved an absolute fortune and business tips from him are second to none. Yeah. He's done well over the years. There's no doubt about that. There's a lot of people profiteering, it seems. And in shops too. I'm surprised at that because there'll be a record of that. At least you expect it on the internet. People being charged $6.99 for a bottle of now what was it? £6 for a packet of paracetamol that normally costs 60p. And bottles of hand sanitizer being sold for 30 quid. In shops. So that's the community shops that are there for the community, absolutely ripping it out of their community. I imagine that some communities won't let that go unnoticed when all this stops. Some communities will not be very happy with their local shops for profiteering. They should be there helping the community, really. You've now got people opening packs of toilet rolls and selling the toilet rolls individually for £1 and £1.50 each. And this is only going to get worse before it gets better. You know, wait till you get the first killing. We've had the looting, we've had muggings. We're going to get the first killing soon. That somebody actually dies because of someone else's greed or just someone else's unpleasant attitude. What are you going to do? What's the man got to do? What's the man got to do? I don't know. What's the man got to do? What's the man got to do? Put a kettle on. Make a cup of tea. And I could give you the answer to life, couldn't I? Give you the answer to life and all things. Maybe answer the age-old question as to why we're all here. What's it all for? Isn't Ian wonderful? There's no kitchen. Now, either we sort of carry on a bit like this, so I make my tea and mum's been lovely, and you have to get used to that again, or you might want to say, we'll call it a day there because I'm on my own again. And I've given you an update now, so everybody knows exactly where we are, and what the score is. Everybody knows now. We've talked about the amnesty thing. bit. I think everybody should put something on their thingy, profile thingy, you know. Let's have an amnesty for illegals. Create posts. Otherwise the disease will never get stopped. So we've had a bit of a talk about that and a bit of an update about that. And then we've also had an update on how much poo we're in, how deep it is, and how far up to my neck I'm in it. And I think we can agree that I'm in it right up to the top of my neck. So, other than that, don't really know what else to tell you. So what do you think? Shall we call it a day then? Get some milk. And then we'll come back to it tomorrow, can't we? And we'll have a chat tomorrow, and I'll let you know what's what. After I've talked to various people, I'll let you know what's what and what's going on. All right then? So thanks a lot. We've been on an hour, that's all right. That's cool. And 50 minutes is not too bad for someone to watch on catch up, so they get a bit of an idea of where we are and what we're doing. Hello Catherine, and goodbye Catherine. Thanks very much. Take care of yourselves and each other. Goodbye. Everybody stay safe, and don't forget to wipe down your outside door handles and your letterboxes and your gate. Just go and give it a wipe. It won't hurt, right? Anything metal, go and give it a wipe, because it lasts for 12 hours. So outside door handles, letterboxes, people forget about that, and the gate, all right, and the catch. Anything anybody might touch. All right then, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sticking with us. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch up later. Bye for now.